Hello and welcome to this primary election debate for Democratic candidates for Arizona's Superintendent of Public Instruction. This debate is sponsored by Clean Elections, the state's nonpartisan voter education agency. My name is Danielle Lerner, and I will be moderating today's debate. And we are sharing this debate as part of an effort to support democracy in Arizona through a partnership with the Citizens Clean Elections Commission, the Arizona Media Association, and Reister. It's a partnership designed to make these debates accessible to everyone in Arizona. So that means this debate and dozens more between now and November will air on a long list of local TV stations, radio stations, and digital platforms, including support from local newspapers. It is a shared effort between hundreds of local media brands all across Arizona. Now, the format of this debate may be familiar to you, and we have tried to keep the rules simple. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to make an opening statement, and the same for a closing statement. Candidates have drawn straws to determine the order of each of those portions of this debate. Now, throughout the debate, we will pose questions to each candidate, allow them to answer, and then make sure the other candidate has a chance to respond. Now, whenever a question is directed to a specific candidate, only that candidate's microphone will be open. At all other times, every microphone will be open. And thank you to voters all across Arizona who have submitted questions for this debate. We've reviewed all of them to make sure every voice is heard. However, no candidates have been given advanced access to any of those questions. And with that, let's introduce the Democratic primary candidates for this debate. We have Brett Newby and Dr. Teresa Leyba Ruiz. Mr. Newby, you have the first opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Hello, Arizona. My name is Brett Newby, and I'm running to be Arizona's next Superintendent of Public Instruction. Not only am I a Title I public school graduate, but I am a father of public school students here in Arizona. I grew up in a union family. My dad was a carpenter, union carpenter. My mom was a classified school employee who started out as a school bus driver. Public education has been important to me my entire life. It has gotten me to where I am today. As a dad and seeing what's happening in our schools, I've just become upset and gotten angry about having seen our teachers have to work 3 jobs to make ends meet, delivering food on the weekends. Our educators deserve better. Our students deserve better. And I'm here today to answer some questions and to be able to address the concerns that we have for our public education here in Arizona.
All right, thank you. Dr. Ruiz, you have 1 minute.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Dr. Teresa Leyba Ruiz. I'm a mom, an educator of 35 years, and the former president at Glendale Community College. I was raised in South Phoenix, and I am a proud product of Arizona's public schools. For 35 years, I have been in the classrooms working with our educators, supporting students and families. And what I have known is what works well and what can be improved. As I talk to families, they are very concerned about the teacher shortages, overcrowded classrooms, and will our students have access to the support they need to succeed? Families want leaders who will focus on our students, not politics. And that's exactly why I'm running to be your next Superintendent of Public Instruction. I believe when we bring people together, we can strengthen public education. And I am ready to lead with experience, accountability, and a deep commitment to Arizona students. I hope to earn your support.
All right, well, surely there are many issues education and support for it going forward. However, teacher pay topped that list, and so I want to start with that. Our state is consistently toward the bottom when it comes to teacher pay, and you mentioned our ongoing teacher shortage reaching crisis levels. So Dr. Ruiz, we'll start with you. What is your plan to address that issue, and how will you turn that plan into action?
We need to start by respecting the educators in the classroom right now. Many teachers feel vilified, they feel overworked and underappreciated. And the first thing I will do is bring back this respect to this noble profession. I actually do have a fully comprehensive plan. It's called RISE. It's recruit, invest, support, and elevate. And this is a way to partner with community colleges and universities and nonprofit organizations to strengthen the education pipeline. This is so that we can bring educators into the classroom and retain those that we have. It needs to start with respecting the educators we have, and I have 35 years of experience in the classroom. I know what our teachers need. And as a college president, I know how to move resources so that they can best accommodate our educators.
All right, Mr. Newby, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. As I've traveled around the state talking to various educators, community members, one of the things that they say that they've told me is they are interested in better pay, but they need more resources. Without equitable funding for our public schools and our school districts, the teachers don't have all the tools that they need and the resources to allow our students to achieve the success that they're capable of. And so I think it's a full gamut of things that need to happen, but we need to start with fully equitably funding our public schools. Yes, teachers need more pay, our educators need more pay, our school staff, our school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, but we need more resources, because when those budgets get cut, those first items that are cut off the budget are our support staff, are the resources that the teachers need. So the teachers are doing a lot more for the little pay that they're getting. And so if we can enhance that, our teachers can then focus on learning and teaching and advancing our students in the way that they should.
Yeah, and this position can be limited at times into what you can do, for instance, when it comes to teacher pay and getting more money into teachers' pockets. And so just to stick with that issue for one more moment, Mr. Newby, what is something that you could do in this position in the first year or two to get more money in teachers' pockets?
Yeah, some of the benefits that we have talked about is, with a lot of school districts closing schools, vacant properties now available, is providing teacher housing in rural communities where teachers are needed desperately. We can provide our students that are graduating from Arizona colleges to be able to have housing and teach in our rural schools that need that benefit. And that's a benefit that can enhance lives for not only the teachers, but for those communities being able to reinvest in those small towns. So those are some of the things that we're working with some of the state legislatures that we've partnered with, and being able to see those things come forward and those ideas presented to an equitable group of folks from across the state of Arizona.
And Dr. Ruiz.
Well, this role, while it's mainly an administrative role, there are many things that the superintendent can do immediately. And I think, first of all, starting by saving some taxpayer resources. And so one of the items that would come down immediately is the teacher, it's called the teacher empowerment line, but in the streets we're calling it the teacher snitch line. We can take that line down and save hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would love to be able to repurpose those resources and get them to our teachers who are really starting off the school year oftentimes without the basic supplies that they need to do their jobs. And it's important that we recognize that while money doesn't solve everything, we must be transparent, we must be strategic, we must make good use of taxpayer resources. And as a former college president managing a multi-million-dollar budget, I am very good at being efficient with resources and making sure those resources are stretched and they're allocated to the places that make the best effort.
And let's stick with that topic of public school funding. Arizona ranks 48th in the nation for education spending. We are typically always toward the bottom. So in your opinion, then, what is the biggest reason for that? And I know you mentioned taking down the hotline, but what sorts of other actionable changes can people expect to see with you in this seat?
I think a couple of things that we'll be able to see right away. So right now, there are also several lawsuits that are charged against our school districts. This is unreasonable. How is it that the Superintendent of Public Instruction would sue our schools? Those lawsuits would end immediately. We're not going to sue schools. Our job is to uplift schools, saving, again, hundreds of thousands of taxpayer resources. We also have a plan in place to really keep an eye on taxpayer money. Where are the dollars going? And ensuring that we're good stewards with these resources. So there's a couple of things that would happen immediately. Take down the teacher snitch line, stop the lawsuits, and work to empower our teachers by talking with our educators and our school district superintendents. Where's the need? how can the Arizona Department of Education, Office of Superintendent, best support those needs with the resources we have? And I believe there are plenty of resources. They're just not being allocated in the right way.
And Mr. Newby, your thoughts on that? Do we need more funding, or do we need to do a better job with the funding that we already have?
I think we need more funding for sure. A lot of the state legislature, it's been several decades now that they've underfunded schools here in Arizona. So I think it's important that we find the like-minded state legislators, bring them to the table, have good conversations about how can we more equitably fund our schools. Our rural schools are in dire need of facility upgrades, infrastructure. I mean, a lot of the schools in Arizona are older than I am. So, you know, there needs to be upgrades. There needs to be technology put into schools. And so, you know, more funding is great, but if we don't have a legislation or a state legislature that's willing to fund our schools, then we need to bring the community together and rally those folks to be able to, you know, go to those state legislators and say, hey, you know, it's a nonpartisan issue for us to have to everybody to want strong schools, safe communities, and great teachers. And so, you know, with that common goal in mind, I think we can do a lot of good work and help these schools that are put behind barriers to ask for resources every year. They have to go to the ballot. They have to go to the ballot. And so I think if we can work to, as a whole in the state of Arizona to be able to do that, I think we can make great things happen for the public education system in Arizona.
You mentioned rural schools and some of the unique challenges that they face. Dr. Ruiz, what about you as far as your plans to provide support for those rural schools as they face teacher shortages and their own unique challenges?
Yeah, the rural schools are often feel forgotten. We would immediately create an Office of Rural and Small Schools so that our rural schools have an office that they can go and ask for help. As I've traveled the state, we've gone to all 15 counties. We've gone into many, many schools, and it is heartbreaking, the facilities where our children are placed every day. We were in one school up in Page, Arizona, where literally the gym is held up by hydraulic jacklifts because the beams are cracked. So it's obviously not safe for students, but this is the environment that our students are placed and our educators are placed in. There needs to be some solutions. We need to make strategic investments in our children's future, and having an Office of Rural and Small Schools is the best way to start so that we can have these conversations about where the needs are, and we can get resources to help support those schools who are working hard every single day to educate our children.
And certainly we can't discuss school funding without talking about one of, if not the biggest conversations surrounding the election right now, and that would be ESAs, or school vouchers. We now have more than 100,000 students enrolled, and nearly 3/4 of them are taking part under universal eligibility. Mr. Newby, you have said that you want to stop the expansion of vouchers. So what would this program look like with you in office?
Yeah, you know, there's going to be a lot more oversight, accountability, you know, financial restraint. It's important that on day one, hands of the Department of Education. And so I think it's really important that we figure out, you know, where is this money going? How are we going to pay for it? But we also need to make sure that we're taking care of the students, because at the end of the day, those students are trying special services. And so it's very important that we're spending that money wisely and that we're doing an ethical job in making sure that those funds are going to the right people, but also helping those students get the access to education that they deserve.
And Dr. Ruiz, you have also called for more transparency and oversight of this program. So what specific reforms would you plan to make?
Well, I think just today an article came out from the Auditor General's office and really lifted the veil on some of the mismanagement, mishandling of our public dollars. That needs to end immediately. It feels like this whole program is on autopilot, and just millions and millions of dollars are being spent unchecked and unchallenged. That needs to end immediately. There is a technology solution. we would implement it, and be good stewards of public resources. I understand that families want options, and families should have those choices, but not at the expense of public education, and always keeping in mind that when public dollars are in use, there should be public accountability. And it feels that right now it's out of control. I would immediately bring in oversight. As I said again, I've managed multi-million-dollar budgets. An institution that is larger than the Arizona Department of Education. I know how to be transparent, efficient, and effective with our public resources.
In addition to oversight and accountability, there are some other proposed ideas out there, such as income caps on the program or kind of other additional guardrails that could potentially be put in place. Is that something that you would support, Dr. Ruiz?
Well, I think the guardrails are, yes, I would support the guardrails. However, the job of the Superintendent of Public Instruction is to enforce the law. And right now, I would question whether or not this current superintendent is, in fact, enforcing the law. So while the superintendent does not create the law, the job is to enforce it, and that's exactly what I would do, and let those conversations about the guardrails and the income caps happen in the space where they need to happen. My job is to simply enforce the rules.
And Mr. Newby, your take on kind of the Superintendent of Public Instruction's role, especially when it comes to this program in regards to working with lawmakers, working with the other entities involved. What's your take on that?
Sure. I think the superintendent is the one that's in charge of bringing trust to the education system and accountability, transparency. All of those things are important because these are our tax dollars. Arizonans work hard for their money, and they want to make sure that that money is being spent wisely and in equitable places like education that's going to grow our communities, that's going to enhance the lives of the folks that are living here in Arizona. And, you know, from day one, auditing the program, sending violations to the Attorney General's office. All of those things that have not been occurring will happen from day one while I'm in office, and ensuring that we're putting the funds for school to our schools into the classroom.
You both mentioned Arizona's teacher shortage towards the beginning of this debate, certainly reached a crisis level. So beyond teacher pay, what can be done to not only keep teachers in the classroom, but to ideally build a steady pipeline of new teachers coming into the profession? Mr. Newby, if you'd like to start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned before, we've considered the public housing initiative to allow for school districts to build housing units for our teachers. A lot of our top tier universities do that to recruit top tier professors and researchers. And that's something that we can do here in Arizona. But also we can allow our teachers to have better professional development. A lot of the tools and resources that they're being demanded and required of doesn't exist. And as a licensed behavior analyst, the two things that I work on that are my specialties is being able to put behavior plans in place, which is one of the number one reasons why teachers are leaving the classroom is because of the student behaviors. And the second thing is burnout, and being able to help our teachers overcome the stress of the job, but also all of the demands that have been placed on them because their resources and their tools have been taken away because of our budget cuts through the state legislature and school districts having to cut their budgets. So it's highly important that we bring those tools to our teachers, but we're building professional development through the Department of Education for our teachers to be able to get the tools and resources that they need in the classroom, but also being able to further enhance our teacher retention and grow our own teachers and building our grow your own teachers, so if you will, in our rural communities so that the folks that are growing up in those rural communities that want to be teachers can live in their community and give back and grow their families in those communities in which they grew up in.
Dr. Ruiz, how do we try to fill in some of these gaps that so many schools across Arizona are experiencing?
Well, thank you for that question because it really is a crisis in Arizona right now. We were in Winslow, Arizona just a couple of weeks ago and learned about an accelerated program offered through the University of Arizona. It's a wonderful way to take a paraprofessional who's already committed to the community and allows them to become the certified teacher. I think that's an example of what we can do throughout the state. Working with our community colleges and our universities, the pipeline can be shored up and encouraging the paraprofessionals, encouraging individuals who live in the community to stay and help that community grow. I think, it is a crisis point, but I also feel like every crisis is an opportunity to find a fabulous solution. As I travel the state, talking with county superintendents, they also have some great ideas. And so it's bringing these ideas to the table. Let's work collaboratively. Let's bring in the ideas and the people so that we can create a strong pipeline for Arizona students. Because in this crisis mode, it is definitely having an impact on academic progress. We need to have stable, certified teachers in the classroom each and every day. Revolving door of subs is just not good for our students, and it's not good for our community. I think we can partner with parents as well. I was at a school in Levine just the other day, and one of the substitutes was a parent in the community. What a wonderful way to partner with the parents who are prepared to become a substitute, and maybe that becomes a pipeline as well to become a certified teacher. I believe the solutions are out there. We just need to bring and have the opportunity to bring people together. We'll find those solutions.
Yeah, you mentioned teacher certification right there, and that is something that this office is very hands-on with. So is there more that can be done in that area to maybe make the process more accessible, or to perhaps get more folks certified to be able to teach in our schools? Mr. Newby?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can do a better job of partnering with our universities here in Arizona, some of the best teaching colleges in America. We have some great community colleges, and building that pipeline from school. So when our high school graduates in Arizona are graduating from high school, there's multiple pathways for them to be able to access their future, whether it's through attending college or entrepreneurship, an apprenticeship. We can start apprenticeships right away in the schools, becoming instructional aides, bilingual assistants, ASL translators. All the things that we need in our schools, we can bring that support from our partners with different universities around the state, and building local programs and localizing the Department of Education so that those rural communities are able to support themselves, but also are growing a pipeline for those communities. Because, at the end of the day, in our rural communities, our schools are the bloodline of those communities. And so when we close a rural school, it's detrimental to that community, but also those kids are going to have to travel 45 more minutes. Some of them already travel 45 minutes by bus to school because they live in a rural area. And so we really need to make sure that we're standing up for them, and we're bringing accountability back to the Department of Education to ensure that our students are having success in the classroom.
Dr. Ruiz, anything more specific regarding teacher certification?
I think, first of all, we want to make sure we always keep our standards high for teacher certification. We don't want to lower the bar. As desperate as we are to have, teachers in the classroom, this is a noble profession. We need to make sure we keep the standards high and help people reach those standards, but never lowering our standards. I think if there are ways to become more efficient, especially for our educators in the rural parts of Arizona, it's a long way to come in to the state capitol. Are there ways that we can make things more efficient? That happens to be a specialty of mine. Let's make things efficient and effective so that we can get our teachers certified without lowering our teacher standards.
Teacher support, obviously very important in keeping teachers in the classroom and wanting to go into the classroom. What about school counselors or school resource officers? What role should they play on our school campuses, Dr. Ruiz?
I believe our counselors and our social workers play a critical role in helping development of our students. There are the school safety grants where schools can decide if they want to apply for an SRO, a school resource officer, or a counselor or social worker. And this is where I would really lean into what the schools are asking for. Without using my own personal ideology, I'm about helping students succeed. And if that school is asking for a resource officer, then I'd like to get them that resource officer. If the school is asking for a counselor or a social worker, then similarly, schools know what their students need, what their communities need, and I feel it's the job of the State Superintendent of Public Instruction to honor that request. I trust in our educators. They know what they need. Arizona does have one of the highest student-to-counselor ratios in the country. We need to work really hard to reduce that. Our counselors are working very hard. Our students need their help. And at the end of the day, I want to see all students succeed, and if that means having a counselor and a social worker there in that school, then that's what my job would be, to help that school get the resources that they need.
Mr. Newby, how crucial are those positions of social workers, school counselors, school resource officers in supporting our school campuses?
Yeah, school employees are so important to the everyday life of our schools. Unfortunately, with the state legislators that we have, they continue to cut the funding that funds those positions. And a lot of school districts right now are putting out budgets that are cutting a lot of those positions at our schools. And so our teachers are having to become mental health workers, specializing in behaviors and all the different things that are happening. We don't have nurses in schools anymore. And so it's just really important that we work to build our communities, because when we can bring our community into our schools that are representing those communities, those students are going to feel safe, and those students are going to succeed because it's an environment in which they want to learn. And so it's highly important. My mom was a school employee for over 43 years. She just retired. And so it's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that, they help our students succeed and do all the things that they need to do while they're in school, and it's important that we support them and give them the funding that they need.
You mentioned student behavior as one reason that some teachers may be leaving the profession or leaving their campuses. So in your opinion, what role should the superintendent play in addressing discipline and school culture, Mr. Newby?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that's, very important, something that I do every day. And I think we can do a better job of providing professional development to our staff, our educators, and training our school districts, giving them the tools and the resources to be able to put behavior plans in place, be able to have the funding to hire behavior specialists, but also making sure that our administrators are having plans in place, because a lot of the teachers that I'm speaking with and hearing from is, the behavior is bad in the classroom and we have to tolerate it, and we send them to the administrators and they send them right back with no penalties. And so it's really something that's important, but also building positive reinforcement within our school systems and our school environments so that our students are engaged, our students want to learn, they want to be there, but also being able to overcome those challenges when they aren't being able to be successful in a classroom, and making those accommodations and providing the different tools and resources that those students may need within the classroom.
Dr. Ruiz, your take on this?
Well, I don't think that the superintendent of public instruction should be dictating to the schools what they should be doing. I think the role is to be a service provider. I think that this role should be providing resources. There's a superintendent down in Tucson, Pima County superintendent, has some wonderful ideas on how to help the educators navigate some of these tricky areas of behavioral in the class. I think, always monitoring student behavior. I'm a teacher of 25 years. I taught math for 25 years, and I've always dealt with different types of behavior problems. It's part of being a teacher, knowing that I had the support above me, though. If there was a problem, I was going to be supported by my principal. And I think that the role of the superintendent of public instruction can be to provide the resources when they're asked for, definitely not dictating what the process should be, because as I travel the state and I talk to superintendents and educators in all parts of Arizona, they all have unique needs. And so the job of the superintendent of public instruction is to help those schools meet those needs with the resources that are available. It may mean professional development. I think that would be welcomed by many educators around Arizona. But I also know that they just need to be supported, and you will find a supportive superintendent right here, because I've been in the classroom for so many years. I know what it's like in the classroom. I know what our teachers need.
And when it comes to our school system, Arizona, of course, has one of the largest school choice systems in the country. So in your opinion, Dr. Ruiz, we'll start with you. What's working when it comes to our current system, and what would you change?
Well, I think parents want options, and parents should have options for their students. Those options, though, should always come with some transparency and some accountability. I think what's working is right now, parents are able to send their children to any public school that they would like. It's the open enrollment plan. You can go to any public school outside of your neighborhood. That seems to be working very well. But at the same time, we want to make sure that every kid, no matter their zip code, Every single student has access to a high-quality education in their neighborhood. So it doesn't have to be one or the other, and this doesn't have to be a conflict. This can be, supporting the parents' decision while also ensuring that the local neighborhood school is well-funded so that every child, again, no matter their zip code, has access to a high-quality education. Now, are all things perfect? No. But that's an opportunity to improve and grow and evolve. And again, that's something that I've done for 35 years in helping every program I've ever worked with. You grow and you evolve and you make things better along the way.
Mr. Newby, your take on our current school choice system and what it might look like with you in office.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the open enrollment to public school is something that, a lot of Arizonans enjoy and use and take advantage of. I think where the changes are going to come with me in office is that whatever school is receiving those tax dollars, that they're on a level playing field, that those teachers are certified just like the public schools. There's accountability to their accounting and transparency in their finances, but also that they're making sure that the student outcomes are the same requirements for our public schools, and that there's a level playing field and all the parameters for receiving those tax funds for our Arizona students are being looked at, and they are all on the same level playing field.
Dr. Ruiz, your thoughts on that? Can you get on a level playing field with public schools, private, charter, other schools who may be still receiving public tax dollars?
Well, that goes back to the idea that public dollars demand public accountability. And it's hard to say who's doing better. Is this private school doing better than the local school? Because it's not a level playing field right now. We don't know who's teaching the children. We don't know what their academic progress is because private schools and homeschools are not required to assess our students. We don't know if our children are safe. And there's a lot of questions around the use of public dollars. And so in order for us to really have a strong public education system, and I'm going to call it public because public dollars are being spent on these private institutions and homeschools, then we must have a common set of rules to play by: assessments, background checks, certification requirements. And right now, that's not happening. So in order for us to be good stewards of public resources, there must be the same rules, and there must be transparency, and there must be public accountability.
And how does the superintendent, this position, go about putting some of those changes in place, since there are other entities involved?
Well, I would welcome the opportunity to sit down with the larger private networks and invite them. You're accepting public dollars. Then I invite you to take the same public assessment. There's no law right now that says they have to, but there's no law that's saying I couldn't invite them in. And I would invite them in to take that same assessment. I think until the law gets changed, it's going to have to be a welcoming arm. We're on the same team here. We're all trying to make sure our students are learning, but we have to have the same outcomes. And we don't know we have the same outcomes because they're not being assessed. So I would welcome them in to come and assess their children.
And Mr. Newby, your thoughts on that, on how you can try to at least level the playing field?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as superintendent, being a champion for our students, our parents, our families, and our communities is something that is going to bring the change to that accord. With those schools not having to have any requirements, I think it's important that we work with state legislatures to ensure that we put some parameters on that, whether it's through the ESA funding, if those are the guardrails that we put on, or it's by creating new funding and new state laws that require the assessment and the financial accountability for these schools. At the end of the day, that's what taxpayers in Arizona want, is they want to know that their tax dollars are being spent wisely and where they're being spent. And so I think it's very important that the superintendent is bringing transparency, accountability to all schools in Arizona so that families can make those choices that they feel they want to make.
You talked about assessments just a moment ago. Arizona students continue to struggle when it comes to reading and math proficiency. And so, Dr. Ruiz, why do you think that student outcomes are still lagging, and what would you do to try and change that?
Well, I would like to see Arizona have a fully comprehensive early childhood program. We know that when children are learning early, it has a huge impact on their preparedness for for kindergarten. We also need to fully fund kindergarten. Right now, Arizona funds half day. And so school districts that have full day kindergarten, it's coming out of that school district's budget. I think the other thing we need to really focus on, so in addition to early literacy, we need to focus on our math progress. As a former math teacher, it breaks my heart to know that right now only 27% of 8th graders in math are proficient. We can do so much better. It has to start with early programs, but it also has to start with consistency in the classroom. Schools that have had consistent educators have much higher scores than those who have a revolving door of substitutes. It just wreaks havoc on the students' academic progress. So I think we need to stabilize our teacher workforce. We need to invest in early childhood learning, invest in full-day kindergarten, and really, this is an investment in Arizona's future. And so when we want to see our rates rise, when we want to see high school graduation rates increase, it starts with an investment and a commitment to students and to their future.
And Mr. Newby, your thoughts on that, on how we can bring some of those percentages up, especially when it comes to reading and math proficiency?
Yeah, absolutely. As a behavior analyst, one of the things that I work with is early learners, and research shows that the more that we can give to early learners, the better off they are as they grow and able to accumulate skills through their timeline. And so it's very important to me that we invest in early childhood education. We invest in full-day kindergarten. But we also need to make sure that we're funding our underserved communities, our underserved schools, our high-risk need schools, because those communities are highly impacted. A lot of those families work full-time, don't speak English, and so we need to make sure that we have more resources to be able to work with those families and be able to have multicultural and bilingual materials for those families to assist those students, because those kids are basically learning English on their own. And so it's highly important that we invest in our communities and in those schools in the high-risk needs and underserved areas.
Yeah, Arizona, the only state in the country with English-only legislation still in effect, since you mentioned English language learners. What role should dual language immersion programs play in our schools? And do you think the state is doing enough to support our English language learners? Mr. Newby?
I think we need to do more. I think we need to enhance the program to include those families, because those families are coming here from another country, speak a different language, may not know English. And so a lot of the materials that are being sent home with the kids are in English. There's not bilingual information or materials being sent home. And so those families have a hard time being able to support their students while they're going to school. So I think it's important that we expand that program. I think it goes both ways. We have some school districts. The Osborne School District has a dual language program. Those English speaking students attend and come out bilingual. So I think it's a skill that's a lifelong skill that we can give to our students to be able to be bilingual. As they get older, that skill is going to serve them well, and it's going to allow Arizona to become more diverse, more culturally appropriate, and serve with compassion and empathy for the state and help grow Arizona as a good state in the United States.
Dr. Ruiz, your thoughts on the English-only legislation and dual immersion programs?
Well, I'm really, really thankful for the dual language programs. As I travel the state and I've had the privilege of going into dual language classes, I am always so amazed at the rigor of the courses, the commitment of the educators, and what the students are learning. I mean, I walked into a class of kindergarten children who were writing full-on sentences in Spanish. Children, 5th grade, 5-year-olds, writing full sentences in Spanish. I watched presentations being made in Dene, the Navajo language, in Flagstaff. And this is an opportunity to not only help non-English speakers become proficient, but also to help English-only learners learn another language. And this is the benefit of having these dual language programs. It's really preparing our students for this global economy. When you speak another language, not only are you able to be competitive in the work environment, but you also bring a new level of learning to the entire team environment. So dual language programs are incredibly important, not only, again, to individual students who are learning to speak English, but for English learners to speak another language. It would be wonderful to have more of these around the state because they're rigorous, and the data shows that students in these programs are actually surpassing their peers who are not in these programs. And for that reason alone, we need to invest in our dual language programs.
And when it comes to what our students are learning in the classroom, social emotional learning has certainly seen a surge in popularity these last few years. Those for it say that it helps students manage stress and relationships and behavior. However, some critics argue that schools aren't focusing on academics the way they should be. And so my question will start with you, Mr. Newby. What role should social emotional learning play in Arizona schools?
Well, I think, it's raising good humans. Humans are social creatures. We have emotions. I don't know if you've ever met a toddler, but they have really big emotions during their toddler stages. And so if we're not teaching them how to handle those situations, deal with those emotions, they're going to grow up without the tools to be able to regulate themselves and not be able to function in our society, in social situations. So I think it's vastly important that we continue to grow our social emotional learning, that teachers, I think, we say that teachers have bleeding hearts and they love all the kids. I think that's something that teachers give to our students, that they are the first person typically outside of the home that is going to show love for your child and help them grow and become successful adults and successful human beings. I work with, kids with autism, and that's a social disability. And we're teaching them all the skills. A lot of times they say, oh, you're trying to teach them to become robots and all of these things. But in reality, we're trying to teach them to be socially appropriate, have socially valid behaviors so that they can function in a society where we are social human beings. And that's important. And at the end of the day, I think that's important to all of our educators and anybody that's working in the field of education, is to teach our kids to be good humans. And that's what we should put at the forefront, is the success and the ability for our students to be successful in their life.
Dr. Ruiz, what role should social emotional learning play in our classrooms?
Well, I think that what happened, the current superintendent of public instruction did away with allowing social emotional learning to be taught in schools. And that had a huge impact because teachers realized that this is an important part of their day, of helping students understand their emotions, helping students get along with each other. It's hard to teach a class when students are not understanding their emotions and they're having these big outbursts. So social emotional learning is an opportunity to help teachers and students regulate what's happening in their emotions. And what I found is that teachers are so creative. They continue to teach social emotional learning. They just call it a different name. They might call it leadership. They might call it creative something. But teachers are very creative, and they will find a way because teachers know what their students need. And if it's helping them understand their emotions so that they can have a calm learning environment, teachers are going to do that. I believe it's the role of the superintendent of public instruction, again, to make sure our educators have the resources that they need so they can do the important job of teaching our students and our students can learn. And if that's not our focus every day on helping our students learn and have high outcomes, then we've missed an opportunity. And if that means including social emotional learning in their everyday environment, then that's what we should be doing. Again, listening to our educators, they'll tell us what their needs are.
What about when it comes to initiatives or curriculum that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI? What role should that play in our school communities, Dr. Ruiz?
So just today, the current superintendent and the state treasurer have been bickering all day long about that three-letter acronym. I believe that we, as a state, we're incredibly diverse, and you cannot close your eyes to the diversity of our students. We cannot erase history. This is an opportunity to understand, recognize, and value the students we have in front of us. And that's exactly what I would continue to do. It's what I've done for 35 years in my career as an educator, to represent and support the students in front of me, to support the educators that I've been privileged to work with. And that means all of them, all of our educators, incredibly diverse Arizona. That's the role of the superintendent, to provide these resources, not bicker about it. Let's be the adult in the room.
And Mr. Newby, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's highly important that we provide diverse education to our students. Being able to be successful in this world means that you have to have other perspectives other than your own. Growing up, I was taught to put myself in other people's shoes. And so as I've met folks from around the world and experienced other cultures and different types of environments, it's important to me that I understand where they're coming from, what they value. It's also one of the reasons I'm able to make partnerships with the families that I serve, is because I have to be culturally sensitive and understand all of the values that that family has. And some of those values are different than ours, and that's okay. And it's one of the things that we need to do to grow good humans in Arizona, is to be able to teach them to accept others for who they are, meet them where they are, but also accept them and bring them into our community and have a wonderful, safe community that we're growing good people in.
Well, we are just about a week away or so from graduations happening all across the valley, just to pivot a little bit. And the rising costs of community college and higher education are certainly weighing on voters' minds. And so my question, what can be done, or can something be done at the K through 12 level that can help make those opportunities more affordable, Dr. Ruiz?
I think the dual enrollment program is one of the most successful programs that Arizona can offer to our high school students. And we know right now that students who take two 3-credit-hour courses have a much higher probability of completing their education after high school. And this is a way for students to earn college credits while they're in high school. The teachers who are offering the courses must meet the same requirements as a community college professor, if that's where the dual enrollment credit is being offered. I think we can do more of that, and we should be doing more of that. We should be providing students opportunities, whether that's an academic course or whether that's a career and technical education course. What we also know is that students who enroll in CTE programs while they're in high school and they receive dual enrollment credit for that, again, have a much higher probability of completing their education and training after high school. I think that's an opportunity where we can stabilize, because every college around the state of Arizona might have a different plan. Some colleges make it no cost to high school students. Other colleges make it a small fee. Some colleges, and I can tell you we did this at Glendale Community College, we reallocated resources and made many scholarships available to high school students. I think what would be great is if, as a state, we could stabilize it so that it's fair and equitable to all students around Arizona. But dual enrollment is a wonderful way for students to earn college credit while they're in high school. I would support that 100%.
And Mr. Newby, your thoughts, your ideas on how to make those higher education or post-secondary education opportunities more affordable and accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. You said high costs, and I think a lot of students and the next generation is really financially savvy and knowing that they don't want to start off their life in debt. And as many know, college costs a lot of money, and you get into student debt and student loans. So as a superintendent of public instruction, I think it's important that we invest in our CTE programs, especially for our rural communities, where those rural communities might be financially and economically dependent on an industry like forestry or linesmen. But being able to teach and give those opportunities and pathways to our high school students across the state to be able to see what careers are out there, to set them up for success. A lot of students, yes, I'm going to college, I'm going to get a bachelor's degree, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. But on the other half of that card is a lot of students that are barely going to graduate high school. They don't like doing schoolwork. They want to work with their hands. They want blue-collar union jobs because that's what their family does. That's what they know. And so it's important that we provide that, but also for our students that are interested in joining our military, I think it's important that we invest in those ROTC programs and give them the ability to get access to our military and learn those skills. So I think it's highly important that we provide multiple pathways to every Arizona student that's graduating so that they have opportunities and they can figure out what they want to do and set themselves up for success before they graduate.
Now, for the person sitting at home or who's going to watch this later, if they don't have school-age kids, they don't have grandkids in school anymore, why should they care about who is in this position? Dr. Ruiz, we'll start with you.
Well, I think it's really important that, I think one voter said it best to me. This voter said, I don't have kids. I'm not following public education, but someone paid for me to go through school, through public education. And that really struck with me. So even though you may not have children in school or you have grandchildren, I think we all want to live in an educated society. We all want to make sure that the next generation is prepared to meet their potential. And we all want to make sure that our tax dollars are being well used in this investment in public education. That has always stuck with me, what this voter said, that somebody paid for him, and now he wants to make sure he's going to pay it forward for the next generation. I think coming back to what Mr. Newby said, we want to make sure that our students have the potential to reach their goals, whatever that goal is. And it's the job of educators to make sure that students know what those options are. There are many options. There's many roads a student can take. I've always wanted our students to reach for your dreams. Let me help you get there. And that should be the role of public education, and that should be the role of Superintendent of Public Instruction, somebody who has the experience of being in the classroom, who has the experience of leading a very large institution, who knows how to build programs, who knows how to build partnerships and collaborate with other organizations so that we can bring the very best possible opportunities to our students, and so that it makes the community stronger and healthier and better for everyone.
Mr. Newby, what would you say to that voter who's maybe past the school age part of their life?
Sure. There's a whole lot of them out there, and it's great. And they are a part of our Arizona community, so their points are valid. I think, if you live in Arizona, you've probably paid some tax to Arizona, so I'm sure you want to make sure that your tax dollars are being well spent and equitably spent. But when we invest in our schools, when we invest in our local community schools, that helps enhance and grow our communities. It makes our communities better. It's going to provide our workforce for the future. And our students are going to be the ones that are taking care of your friends and neighbors if you don't have family. They're the ones that are going to be providing the workforce, the future education, all of the economical things for Arizona in the future. And so I think it's very important that we all as Arizonans come together and support our education system so that all children, and raising good neighbors, so that when we go to the grocery store, there's a friendly smile and we're friendly to our neighbors in our community. So I think it's highly important that everybody is on board with having great schools, because it creates strong communities and it gives us a sense of being here in Arizona.
Well, I want to thank both of you. Hard to believe that it is already time for closing statements. We could talk about education for hours, but each of you will have 1 minute, and we ask to please keep on time so that I don't have to politely cut you off. Sure. So, Mr. Newby, you have the first closing statement. You have 1 minute.
Thank you so much, Arizona, for allowing me to be here, to run for this position. It's a great honor for me to be able to be here. As a behavior analyst over the last decade, I've worked with families that got news that they had a child with developmental disabilities. And I've helped them navigate our Medicaid system and being able to get services that they need. One of the things that I've heard across that time is, what about school? What about school? How do we do this? How do we get the school to do this for our child that has a developmental disability? And so for me, this is a passion project. I want to ensure that all of our students with developmental disabilities are underserved, our bilingual students, all of the students in Arizona, our rural students, get a fair shake at an honest education. That's going to set them up for success and help grow Arizona into a great state in the United States. Thank you so much. You can visit my website at brettnewby.com.
Dr. Ruiz, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you. Well, tonight you've heard different perspectives on the future of education in Arizona. And what I hope you take away is this: Arizona students deserve a leader who will bring people together, who will focus on our students. For me, this is personal. I grew up in our public schools. I taught in our public schools, and I led one of the largest community colleges in Arizona. For 35 years, I've been accountable to results. I've had to make difficult decisions, but students have always been at the center of these decisions, because I believe when we focus on our students, we can move Arizona forward together. I'm not running to fight political battles. I'm running to continue my decades of service and ensure that our classrooms are well supported, our educators are respected, and our families are heard. I hope you'll join me, Arizona, so that we can protect the promise and the power of public education for all students in Arizona, and I hope to earn your support. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, this wraps this primary debate with the Democratic candidates for Superintendent of Public Instruction. As a reminder, the Arizona primary election is on July 21st, and early voting starts June 24th. All registered voters can participate in the primary. That includes independents. The voter registration deadline is June 22nd. To register to vote, just head to azcleanelections.gov. You can also head to azmedia.org to see a list of every local media partner, plus upcoming debates and where you can find them on TV, radio, and digital platforms. You can also see the full debate schedule, learn more about Clean Elections, and submit questions for future debates by heading to azcleanelections.gov. On behalf of our partners at Clean Elections, the Arizona Media Association, Reister, and Sneaky Big Studios, we'd like to thank you for joining us.